Have you ever wondered what Jesus meant by the birth pains in Matthew 24? He's talking about the signs of his coming, and he uses this word birth pains as though there are events that are going to lead up to his second coming that we should be able to notice. And I wonder how closely we're watching the current times to pick up on maybe some of these. His disciples asked him about this, and then this is what he says in verse 4. Watch out that no one deceives you. Many will come in my name claiming, I am the Messiah, and will deceive many. All right, so there's a few of them here. I'm just going to highlight a few of them. Did you know there's 29 people since the time of Christ who have come on the scene and said, I am the Messiah? Jesus was the first one, but there have been a number of them in almost every century of history who have come on the scene and tried to deceive the Jewish people by claiming to be the Messiah. I would say that qualifies as many. Jesus said there's going to be many. 29 is many. That's a lot. That's a number. And yes, I would say that has been fulfilled. Verse 6, you'll hear of wars and rumors of wars. See to it that you're not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. We hear about a lot of wars right now. Probably going to come back to this in a future video, but wars happening here and there. Is there going to be a war here? Well, we're not sure, and maybe there will be, and maybe there won't, and so a lot of rumors, right? But nation rising against nation, kingdom against kingdom, definitely. The next one, though, in verse 7, there will be famines and earthquakes. Check out this graph. Look at this. Oh my goodness. Okay, this is the U.S. Geological Survey. Number of earthquakes between magnitudes 6 and 8. We have seen a huge growth of the number of earthquakes, and we are almost at about 10 times the baseline of the previous century. Just within the last, really 20 years, it's picked up considerably the number of earthquakes that are happening around the world. That's kind of interesting, okay? And then he says all of these are the beginning of the labor pains. That's very curious, though. We have this huge uptick in earthquakes just kind of recently, really. So that's a couple of them. We've seen a lot of false messiahs, a lot of earthquakes. Okay, yes. Verse 9, then you will be handed over and persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me. There have been 70 million Christians martyred through the course of history, according to Voice of the Martyrs. And many of those, more than half of them, were martyred in the 20th century, so 1900 through the end of the 20th century there. And I could see why many Christians maybe living through that time would think this is the end. I mean, so many Christians were killed during that time period. And yet there is still ongoing persecution now. Between the years of 2000 and 2010, about 1 million Christians were martyred, 1,093,000. And even still to this day, 322 Christians are killed every single month for their faith in Jesus Christ. Yeah, there's a lot of martyrdom that's happened, a lot of persecution of the Christians and the Christian message, and even more in terms of not loss of life, but loss of buildings. Voice of the Martyrs reports 214 churches are destroyed every month. Did you know that? I mean, that's a lot. And so, yes, there's a lot of this, being hated by all nations, being put to death, being persecuted. And verse 10, Jesus says, at that time, many will turn away from the faith and will betray and hate each other. I see that in a few places. One, in China. In China, there was a bounty program instituted by the government for people to report unauthorized churches, and then secret churches that were meeting could be reported, and actually cash would be paid out to the reporter of those house churches. Amazing betrayal, almost like Judas Iscariot himself taking the bag of silver and turning over Jesus Christ. But the hatred of one another, I've seen it now a lot. In fact, I'm already getting some comments, people, hating on my content because, I'm not speaking kindly to the LGBTQ movement, and the Bible does not speak kindly towards it either. But yeah, people hating on those other Christians who are holding to the Bible has definitely happened, I think, as well. But in verse 11, this is the last one I'm going to probably highlight in this video, but it says many false prophets will appear and deceive many people. There are almost 1 million congregants of the Universalist Unitarian Church right now, and that's a church that preaches that everyone's going to be saved, that all people go to heaven, all roads lead to God, and whatnot. And actually, this is a false teaching that's growing a lot of momentum within even some of the more liberal mainline denominations as well. But think about how many churches are preaching falsehood straight from the pulpit, straight from the pastor, preaching that all people will be saved. Well, Jesus said, he said, I am the door. He said, no one comes to the Father except through me. Acts 4:12, salvation is found in no one else. There's no other name under heaven, not even one name, given to men by which we must be saved. And so here you have people preaching from the pulpit, speaking as though they were speaking on God's behalf, deceiving people, teaching false teaching. That's very alarming. Even just what I was talking about on a recent video about woke churches. There are so many woke churches talking about the LGBT movement and not sharing the Bible about it, just sharing human opinions about it, sharing their own opinions about it, and not looking at what the Bible clearly teaches. So yeah, I think that that's definitely happening. Many deceiving false prophets. And even just this increase of wickedness, verse 12. I'm going to have to save that one for another video, but that's happening too. The love of people is growing cold. And so some of these labor pains, we'll probably come back to this sometime, but I think we should be paying close attention to this stuff. Jesus said that these are the signs that will precede his coming. And so I hope we're watching, I hope we're looking at them closely and anticipating and living with some anticipation of Christ's second coming. He could come any day now. Are you ready? Are you looking? Are you waiting? Any moment, you could hear that trumpet sound and see him coming on the clouds, coming to redeem his people, coming to bring them back, finally. But this is the time right now when people can still be saved, when people can still turn to Christ and find forgiveness and find love and find faith. But once he's here again, it's too late. So don't wait until then. If you're not right with God, this is the time. This is the day. Get right with God. Take care.